So first of all, so diversity, equity, inclusion is absolutely necessary and incredible, right? Because if we did not have economic diversity in terms of how we incorporate folks from all facets in our organization, we wouldn't have the great story that we have here, right? If we didn't incorporate those who have been a part of abusive relationships, and I don't like to say victims of domestic violence, but folks who have been caught in those systems, if we didn't have the diversity of folks who could sit with them and listen to them and be with them, we wouldn't have the great story that we have today. If we didn't have DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, as an opportunity for folks, we wouldn't have folks like myself who stand here today. As a young man who was in Head Start, whose parents married way too early with way too few resources because love is strong, made their way through life, but they used hands up so that now I'm in positions where I can now make sure that people have hands that they can engage in. And so I just want to say that the video that we saw was absolutely incredible. The thing that's so funny about it is that those are the stories that happen every day with folks that we work with, right? So although this is extraordinary as a story, this is the extraordinary story that we live every day. Energy assistance helped my parents to be able to do some things and learn some budgeting skills that, where do you learn those budgeting skills, right? This is gonna be a trick question, but where do rich people learn to become rich?
Oh.
From rich people. Right? Rich people teach people how to be rich. And so, coming from a family that wasn't rich, what did they teach me? They taught me what they knew.
How to live.
Right? How to survive. Raise your hand if you just want to survive. Raise your hand if you want to live.
Oh, yeah.
Right? No, it was a trick question. So I want to say thank you for this opportunity to be before you, to be with you, to interact, because I have to give back. I have to. I've been given so much. It would be not right for me not to give back. So we're going to talk a little bit about diversity, equity, inclusion. This idea of implicit bias, unconscious bias. Biases that we don't know that we may be engaged in or not aware of. So before we get into all of that, I want to kind of lay down some framework, right? Because there are, if you watch, which I do, cable news, there's certain ways in which cable news will try to tell us about how we should be relating to one another, right? Raise your hand if you've heard critical race theory. If you heard someone say that or use that, right? Raise your hand if you've heard someone talk about white supremacy. Raise your hand if you've heard all of that stuff, right? And what I like to suggest is that those may be good titles. They may be applicable to certain kinds of demographics or whatnot. But what I know is that when I meet good people, I know a good person. And when I meet a mean person, I know that is a person that I don't want to be around, right? And so one of the things that I want us to think about is that we want to spend time today talking about things that fill our cup, right? So this cup could be said it's what? Half empty or half full. And it depends on what? Your perspective, your attitude, how you see the world, right? So I'm always an overflowing cup, looking for opportunities to meet new people and to interact with new people. And to do that, I have to recognize that there are certain kinds of motivations that drain people's resources, that make people not want to be a part of your organization, make people not want to be close to you or your friends. And those are relationships that are built on shame, fault, guilt, and blame. They suck the air out of a room just like this, right? So we know that doesn't work. Well, you know, this is the third time you've come for this assistance. You know, you need to get your act together. Does that encourage that person to say, I need to continue to seek help, or no, it doesn't, right? So this idea of blame, shame, fault, guilt is not helpful. But we do know that curiosity, exploration, problem solving, and being proactive encourages people